Well, adaptability is important, and we on the desk here are going to be adapting to a new scene because we are ready for game number 3 of the Milk Cup Championships.
Just like that, we're already back in it. And again, I think that a lot of these ladies, they've had 2 lobbies now to decide what exactly is going to be taking place, but again, you are still trying to find your footing in a sense for those that haven't managed to actually secure placements inside of the top 10 so far.
And it just takes kind of one really good placement. Like kind of Kelly said, like that 65-point victory royale can change your entire tournament perspective, or prospective, I should say. So we go to game 3 with everyone loaded in. I'm guessing sticking to the drop points, and the medallions really helping teams like Moxie, who finished back-to-back top 2 with 1 victory royale in there. And obviously Team Frantic is up there, being usually around the Reckless Railways. We'll see if Team Nina can do well with usually going for those Sovereign Shotgun mythics, but yeah, early game.
And this is to be expected at this stage because the teams that have been prospering, there's no real reason for them to stray from their initial game plan strategy. They've just got to continue repeating it to the best of their ability to find that utmost level of success. And Regs, Moxie, Daya, even though I know that they're definitely still content to have found a top 3 finish in lobby number 2, it is evident that everything outside of first place is a no-go.
And efficiency is key, and this is where the experience comes into play of you have your initial game plan, but this is Fortnite. Something is going to eventually shift you away from that, and it's what is your plan B, plan C, and who's going to be the leader on the team that can pitch those ideas, and there's a level of trust that you have. And now you have Raft where, well, Team Regs, they'll be perfectly fine getting a reveal medallion. You've already pointed out so many times how important that's been in the later zones of knowing who's on the other side of that wall and knowing when you're able to engage and have that advantage at all times.
And I think one of the more surprising factors even for Moxie, Daya, and Regs is that they're not even trying to pressure teams that are a little bit more towards the outskirts. Think like the coastal columns area that are the even further southwest on the map, but they're actually just choosing to move out almost immediately after they gather everything they want. They pick apart the raft, and they actually look to move more central map. And I think the main reasoning behind this is because if they're center map, it really gives them full control of which direction they want to play the most aggressive towards.
We look towards Crocs and Socks, Weezer, Wonka, and Sweet, who are, now we're in a farming stage, and this is a team that really has to step up to the challenge, who could have had better placements in the early games. We still have all our teams ready. And and Somerset talked about how important those materials are and kind of what happens when you run out of them and what decisions you're forced to make, which is to engage and try to get those refreshes, as you pointed out in the other games, but ultimately how stuck you may feel when you don't have mats.
Moxie, Daya, Regs, though, again, just continuing to ensure that there is nothing that remains here at the raft. I always think it's funny, though, when you factor in, like, Emma Frost, for example. You ever wonder sometimes if the NPCs are thinking, like, I actually don't stand a chance in this fight.
Just trying to work my 9 to 5.
If only they knew they were up against Moxie's team.
Yeah. They're just trying to go about their day. Everyone's trying to go about their day, and then there's Team Moxie, but it wasn't a back-to-back victory royale, but it's consistent enough to stay at the top, and they don't need every single victory royale, but if they keep on this top 3 streak, you're easily going to get a huge chunk of that prize pool.
And again, headed directly towards that launch pad, and that's going to really dictate where this lobby continues to unfold for them. Getting some eyes on, though, team over at Grand Glacier. It's Blurina, Alarming Amber, and Rinny. And again, they have found some relatively solid success so far in our first couple of lobbies here today, but they've got to keep the pressure going. And it's almost one of those factors, Lemon, where players can have a good performance, but to make it a great performance, to take it to that next level, that's going to be the element that Alarming Amber's trio is really going to have to unlock for this competition.
And speaking of that squad, like why I said it was so surprising is that Alarming Amber's team got the very last qualification spot in our third qualifier, and they're absolutely crushing it. They're third on the leaderboard at 100 points. Yeah, they're 38 points behind second place, but they're in a comfortable position where they just have to maintain where they are.
One thing I do find fun, though, about the fact that this Milk Cup Championship from Gonna Need Milk is presented in a LAN environment is that everyone is on the exact same ping. And for some of these ladies, that means it's even better ping than what they were using from the online formats.
True.
So there's some real opportunity here for some of these ladies to not only continue developing their in-person experience, but also just to get a better feel in general for how they want to actually try and control their own fates inside of each of these lobbies. As Miss Mary off the launch pad, continuing to just wrap around these western fringe sections of the map. It seems as though the dead side rotates seem to be the focal point for this trio.
It's a good spot to be in, where there's no teams nearby, but you're on the fringe of the zone, so if there's anyone that's going to be guarding that edge, you're going to be facing a disadvantage. But this is a team I'm excited to see more of in this tournament. They're currently 28th on our leaderboard and hoping to rise above, still staying around the same 20th-ish placements, but the eliminations are important.
Big fight kicking off here, though. Sophia, Mari, Smiley under some heavy pressure control. Smiley from a distance, though, looking to provide the backup, but towards the high ground, she recognizes Mari, Vanessa. They've already got control of this position. Vanessa's got to be careful. Smiley looking to crack open one of these walls, but Smiley, she is so aggressive and unabashedly so. The fact that she hasn't eaten a single shot in exchange here is incredible because she has been fully exposed for the most part, but at the same time, it's Vanessa that's trying to deal with the pressure that Smiley is applying, knowing that she's in this split position between Smiley and Mari, and surprisingly enough, Smiley gonna continue to create some more distance. A third party has been scouted out, and that's gonna be the call for a disengage.
Man, these underworld dashes are gonna allow you to either be aggressive or to disengage, and at least you exchange your ammo for their mats, and you almost got Vanessa exposed. And hey, that little bit of tag damage is everything for that surge threshold. And now you found a moment of peace, but to the south of Grimgate is another squad. They seem to be headed, their leader seems to be heading more north though, so I'm not expecting an engagement yet.
Okay, could be in trouble. Mari and Sophia don't seem to have noticed yet. There's a solo running directly behind them, but fortunately enough for Kay, she's headed the opposite direction of where Mari and Sophia were at. Melanie, Sarler, Minnie Michaela, though, having a tough time. Some of these later straggler rotation teams preventing them from having a clean rotate into the next zone, and this catch out is going to be a costly one because not even factoring in the builds, it's more so the fact that they're going to be so late heading into that edge zone next to Nitrodrome, and there's a team already based that's bound to hear the commotion, these shots being fired, and they're already looking to keep tabs on where these two trios are at, and there might even be two more trios stuck behind even further back in the storm.
Yeah, that team was supposed to be watching the edge of the zone could be distracted. That could be an opening for these people stuck in the storm to get out of Dodge, and now this is a very tough spot for Emperor's team to be in, especially with the team nearby and hoping to get the jump on them. As Emperor, hearing fire in the distance, is gonna readjust, and Emily, taking heavy fire, is gonna try and escape, have walls on her back, and see if there's anyone else that's gonna be poking out, but yeah. Barrett also got knocked, so that'll get Inspire's attention while Empress team will escape.
And Psycho's not trying to give an opportunity for the revive to break through. There's also a slurp cacti that these ladies can now utilize between each other. Psycho carrying the two medkits doesn't necessarily need the refresh out of that slurp cacti, but Inspire, Bread, they're still gonna be in a world of hurt because even with Emperor choosing not to lock down the knock into an elimination transition. Again, they're headed straight for teams that are already based in solid positions. They wanted the flaming boost for the rotate, but look who's in control of it. Hemi's trio, not willing to allow anybody to utilize this form of mobility.
This is the worst time for Empress team to take any fire. They're so low on mats, and they'd ideally not want to fight this, but can you really get over that canyon to their right side? And they may be forced to just push right into Liz's team, who, well, you don't know the situation that other teams are in. And as soon as you see Emperor's name, maybe you just respect that and may not want to take the risk either, because we still have 31 squads left. And one unlucky encounter could mean a very not as great placement in Game 3. But at least Liz, now that the adjustment has been made, they'll put the pressure down and then build some space between them.
Looking to hover over the section of Restored Reels that just recently changed in today's update after that Dr. Doom event. It's fun watching the community come together, take out that opponent, but Kitsy, Hemis, Lisby tweaking. They don't want to stick around in the sky for too long, especially when they're noticing some of these surge bases off in the distance. It's a real easy opportunity for teams to connect some surge tag damage onto them. As Somerset frantic. It looks like they're trekking a path straight for Doomstot.
Yeah, with that victory royale, Somerset's team propelled themselves to 4th place in the leaderboard. A lot of expectations that they should remain in this position, if not surpass it.
Ooh. Audio cue for the reboot van. There might be trouble brewing for whoever it is that's trying to unlock it. The fact that it was cut short leads me to believe that they came under pressure already.
Now Somerset just exchanging fire, already taking some damage to the shields. A Somerset, her teammates, they just leave her to keep watch, but not feeling too nervous about the situation they're in with all the space and no threshold to worry about, no zone closing in to alarm them. And a Rising is at the top of this mountain and is gonna force Somerset's team to use mats to protect themselves until they're ready to fire back at the best position.
I think more importantly, though, the main reason why Somerset chose to abandon that bush is the shots that were just hitting her, seemingly accurate. There's probably some odds that somebody from Elz's trio likely has a thermal scope and was able to scout out exactly where Somerset was trying to stay positioned inside of that bush, but that's not a fight that Elz's trio is willing to take just yet, kind of recognizing the fact, you can tell just the way that players look to protect themselves with builds. Okay, we have to give more respect to this team. Oh, Rennie, the 3-2-1 countdown. Fortunately, it was only Els looking to take shots. Shields not even fully cracked, but a lot of damage done. And Rennie now fully aware of the fact that they've got another team rotating closer to their south side.
And that kind of patience out of a Rising's team is what turned everything around in Game 2. They finished 7th with 3 eliminations, and that really helped them out in terms of where they sit in the leaderboard, really in the middle of the pack. And you want to not be too eager to do a ton of damage. That also reveals where you are. You just have to look at where you are in the mats. And speaking of someone who has a good amount of those, Maddie, Sparkles, and AFK, who sit high, but have to go near the edge of the zone. Feeling like a team is nearby, and it is Sailor's team just about to cross in front of them.
The real problem, though, for Sailor's team is that they see these 2 separate surge bases. They know there's 2 separate trios involved. They're trying to see if they can even find a way to escape Restored Reels at this point, because they can't actually just cut through the fast track route to get into that next edge of zone. They're being too heavily restricted by these 2 surge bases that are just preventing the flow of mobility in this lobby. And I love seeing these cutoffs from teams. This is the methodical kind of gameplay that is involved whenever you have these surge base positions set up in your advantage.
And just these kind of shots, even if they don't make connection, it makes you use mats and it makes you hesitate on how you want to move forward, knowing that there's teams from in front of you, behind you, and you still got to make headway towards a safer location. But AFK's team still relatively healthy, but now fighting against the storm, and apparently not just that. Shields cracked there for AFK. now is able to find some cover as Moxie did just get eliminated, I see on the feed.
Potentially, but with Regs and Daya still there to try and back things up, it might not be too disastrous just yet, although certainly bound to pose some issues. Emperor, Emily Marie, and Psycho, they're going to be the ones a little bit south currently from where they'd initially started things off. It seems as though they were trying to move in a little bit closer towards some engagements. They are sitting 3 and 2 above the damage threshold, but it's the teams inside of the Surge base, Redish's trio, that seems to have caught wind of that movement low down on the ground here. Psycho, Emperor, Emily Marie forced to sit tight now inside of the bush to recuperate their shields.
And this is a team that's really struggled at the start of this tournament. They sit at 30th place with top 20 finishes that are going to cut it at this level of competition. So needing to definitely adjust their strategy or maybe take some big risks, which right now this is not a risk, but may need to take risk to try and propel themselves further ahead, whether it's eliminations or taking a more passive route to get deeper into the game. Right now it's Rini down the tunnel, down the barrel, scares team, using these cones as some minor cover to sneak closer and closer. But they may just hear this, and Kay's gonna spot them, and Rini tries to suppress them, but now there may be another team involved.
Yeah, Rini recognizing the fact this is not going to be a trio that's going to give us an opportunity, trying to apply some damage now onto Maddie's squad, but instead, Scare, Chloe, gave out. They recognize this is likely a team that is desperate. Rini is just playing so openly aggressive, trying to break down those walls, trying to take shots at anything. You can tell when teams need that surge damage, and there's no reason to expose yourself if you've already got it online, like what we're witnessing right now from Emperor. But what they need right now is mats. They need refreshes. They need a Siphon, and Mini Michaela with that knock. That's going to be the credit to come just when they need it most. A little bit of Siphon mats, but most importantly still, just an opportunity for Emily Marie, Emperor, and Psycho to really get that surge damage tags online.
And to confirm that elimination too, to get that Siphon, because they got the knock onto Sarlet, and as they approach, there's more terror than they expected, but still managed to thrive through it. So 27 squads left, with now Storm Surge in effect. Around 200 above, Alarming Amber's team has had such an incredible land so far, but it's just Amber left pretty much.
Well, Rini's there too.
Rini, okay, she's barely there, but now she needs shield. But hey, that's important to have that duo, because solo at this point would be disastrous.
But this is also the issue involved with a duos and a trios competition. Bread and Inspire find themselves underneath that surge threshold, and they're expending everything as far as shields are concerned to just try and outlast the extent of the surge tags being online. But Inspire should be the first to fall. Another beautiful pickup though for Emperor's team, is they're more than happy to take full advantage of another 2 elimination points on top of the body loot.
I like where Burrett was sitting though at the top, boxed out, watching over all the action. And as soon as you see someone maybe crawling out or burrowing out of their shelter, could be the moment for Burrett to strike at that point in the game. But there's lots of good power positions being taken by the squads, and Emperor and friends are trying to go unnoticed under this bridge. And so far, so good.
The thing is though, once Emperor's team locked down that elimination onto Inspire, they know that Bread is just back there as a solo, and the way that Emperor kept looking back, it was obvious she was waiting for that elimination to connect. The surge damage just too overwhelming for Bread to continue to try and heal through. Chloe not gonna catch wind of Emperor approaching from behind, breaking through the floors. Just 3 members crashing down onto Chloe Ames.
Oh man, there is not a lot of health left, and Psycho now has to deal with more than one problem, but they need to stay focused on confirming those eliminations so they can benefit from that Siphon. As Chloe gets eliminated, Emperor, her team still stands with Emily with no shields and Team Frantic on the horizon, and Emperor still taking fire from multiple angles. Seems to be some quiet for them to replenish themselves, but this is Haley Arising and Els looking over. This is a good spot for them.
Emperor's team just unable to close the gap in time. It's incredible that Chloe's teammates were able to provide enough cover fire and enough builds to essentially block off those exchanges of the suppressive fire that Emperor was trying to apply with their teammates. But again, Arising, Els, Haley momentarily in control of height on this lobby, but a lot of teams directly underneath them, and it is not going to be an easy mission by any sense to maintain this position.
This is an important game for Arising's team. Try and bounce back near the top 10 parts of the leaderboard. They currently sit 15th. Big play from Ms. Marie on another side. Start to clear the way for a team like Arising, who are trying to cut off those rotations, and they spot some people out of cover, but just the opportunity, that window of opportunity is barely there.
They need to be really careful though, because they're all looking the exact same direction. You have to remember, especially since they had just spotted out at least several other teams surrounding them, for all of them to be maintaining the same exact line of sight could end up to be disastrous. So hoping that they're able to remediate that as the action continues to develop here. Team Mani, Rose as well. Again, they were working from below Arising's trio. They haven't managed to find the shots that they were hoping for, but they've at least put focal points now for Els's trio to pay a little bit more attention, making sure they're maintaining separate lines of sight.
Now we look towards Regs, Moxie, Daya. Moxie back on her feet from earlier on. This is a team that has supported each other through thick and thin, that has stuck together. And now to be able to be brought back to full will be big. With only 18 squads left, half the lobby pretty much gone. This is a team that has placed top 2 in the last 2 games.
This isn't looking that great though, Lemon. If I've got to be realistic with you, incredibly low mat count. Daya, Regs, Moxie, they need a refresh for material at this point, or else they're not going to be able to outlast some of the other power hitters still left standing in this lobby currently. And Daya opening up a great opportunity here, gets the shield crack, but they have to keep moving forward. They don't have the mat count to stick around to try and collect some of that body loot. Instead, they're going to have to hope a refresh can apparate out of thin air at this point. Going to choose to stick now closer to the low ground, but they're staying front side, which means they might be able to cut off a team that looks to panic drop from inside of those mid-ground layers.
Yeah, they may just have to wait for the herd to thin out, especially if they're low on mats, as you said. Everyone really feeling the pressure here as game 3, halfway through our tournament, our championship. Rose, Mani, Luxlori, these have been squads that can really surprise you, can get these really unexpected top finishes. They're a team to watch out for that you do not want to underestimate. Everyone finds themselves in the zone, and these refreshes, if they can take a close engagement, you can have a safer refresh, but only if they're close enough.
Oh, that was a big step out of Daya, taking down Kiriyama. They were hoping to find some good siphon mats, and they're going to get it just when they need it most. And not only that, but that reveal medallion as well, helping Moxie's trio to essentially understand where the best direction is to tart, because if you're gonna have limited mats, you'd at least wanna know where everybody else is at before you take your next step forward.
Speaking of steps forward, Alina went down the wrong alleyway and just got jumped. So it's Belkson who's gonna have to abandon ship, really just keep the ship sailing. At least she's healthy, but with no match, she has to work with really what's available and what the path is already carved for her. And that's just not a spot you want to be in.
It's not even the mats, it's the fact that she's a solo, and that reveal medallion gonna call that one out instantly. Emperor, Psycho, Emily Marie, they've been cut off momentarily, but it's Kitsy who's in a world of hurt. Emily Marie, she needs the siphon. She finds a med kit as well, 2 of them to be exact. And the zone is just not doing her any favors. The storm ticking away. She's not gonna be able to outlast it. Emperor knows they've just gotta keep moving forward. They've got to abandon what was left behind. I don't even know if they'll be able to pick up Emily Marie's loot.
Emily falls, and it's just Psycho and Emperor, but making top 10 is pretty huge. Have probably a better mat situation than others, but Rose right in front as Emperor is just focused on collecting what's left, I guess. Oh wait, that was all a bait.
The loot is not free anytime soon here. Psycho rolling down the hill face now, trying to get revenge. Emma knocked as a result. Siphon gonna come through now. Psycho back to 200 HP, hoping to apply some damage here onto Lily. And if Lily's not careful, Psycho might be able to connect, but instead, this solo mission has now been sent for the retreat. She's gonna have to wait for a different opportunity. Noah Lake might be the next victim.
And Psycho's the type of player that can clutch this up in the right scenario, just needs to find an isolated duel and tries to at least box herself out, get some wood going. But as soon as her attention diverts, there's teams crossing above, below her, and Psycho just tries to live through it. Now shooting through the floors, maybe trying to get someone to drop in the same box as her, not getting the luck that she's hoping for, but a duo in front as Psycho needs a second to get shields going, but there is no time in a situation like this, and Psycho gets a knock on Frantic, but there was too much for Psycho to deal with, and she falls as well.
Spoiler alert has already been played though. This is the time for Exet Nina's trio to step up to bat. They've got an open road paving in front of them for this victory royale. A trio looking relatively healthy. The mat count might not matter as long as they connect with their shots.
That's what Vanessa and friends hope to do. They tunnel down from this team below them, and Lily is exposed, out of shelter, out of hope. Lonnie and Rose can pick up the mantle. They're protected by at least metal. A little bit of time for them to just try and weasel their way out and just hope to stay in cover, but Vanessa, Vader, or may even drop on them very soon now using the natural tree cover. They're done wasting time. Rose is knocked, now eliminated. Monty is next, and the victory royale goes to Team Nina.
The 12 eliminations, though, is what I can't help but notice. And when you've already been hovering that top section of the leaderboard, Moxie's team, this might be the time to start sweating, Lemming, because this is exactly what Nina's team needed to try and play leapfrog on that leaderboard.